Friends, Fever fans, welcome back to another Fever Replay podcast, your home for a weekly breakdown of Fever games and news. This week's podcast, just like every single other podcast, is brought to you by the love of the game. You know what, folks? If you work hard, if you keep your nose to that grindstone, if you just believe enough, you might find yourself over 500 for the love of the game. I'm Chris Ord, your host as always, and I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Rookie of the Year, Keisha Gallagher. How you doing, Keisha?
I'm doing fantastic, Chris. How are you doing?
I'm exhausted. I took my kids to dad camp, at least two of my kids to dad camp, because it was boys only this time. I don't know why. They don't know it's 2025 yet, but I'm exhausted. Every part of my body hurts because we did all of the games. But it was fun. It was a great weekend. And also a great weekend of basketball that I got to catch up on because I didn't get to watch it live. But I've been cramming, and boy, those were some games. Those were fun.
Those were some games. They were certainly games.
They were certainly games. So, as I alluded earlier, we're over 500. Beep, beep, beep.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty exciting.
It's happening.
If you ask me. And, do you know what? I was thinking this while I was watching the Atlanta game. It may be too early to say this. And maybe I'm jumping the gun. And maybe I'm just a little excited and sleep deprived. But I feel like this looks like a champion team to me. Yep. Uh-huh. That's where I'm at. Were you thinking the same thing?
I was not, but I'm well rested. So maybe it's a level of sleep deprivation that requires.
I really do. I feel like we're beginning to see the sort of team that we're trying to build.
I will say that there have been some nice strung together series and really well played quarters that has exhibited the true talent that exists on this roster.
I agree, and we're going to get into all of that. But first, Keisha, we got to pay the bills. And by that, I mean, let's talk about this hyped up matchup for the first time in the W of Caitlin Clark and Paige Buckets. Oh boy, we finally got it. And we destroyed them. But it was a good game. And Paige honestly looked really good. What were your thoughts of that game?
I agree. I thought that Paige looked fantastic. However, Dallas did not. Rike really struggled the whole game. And that was, I think, a true testament to defense. Really tearing apart her lanes. She wasn't able to even receive the ball, really. But, yeah, it was brutal. Brutal effort from the Wings, and the Fever flourished while they struggled really badly.
I felt like Lee Yuru looked really good to me, at least during the first half.
Yeah.
When the game was like a real game. I was very surprised at how well Lee was able to play against Boston, who right now, like this week, Boston looks like one of the very best currently playing basketball. She looks so good right now. And for Lee to play her just very well. I felt like she played her really well down there. I was pretty impressed with that. Late in the game, obviously, things got away from the whole team.
I would say that Lee Yuru has definitely found her footing with Dallas, so figuring out the best way to approach her, especially when Dallas is 100% healthy, is going to be a challenge next time around. But she has really moved from one really specific player-focused offense to another. So she was with the Sparks, and that kind of centered around Dearica Hamby being the center of how that offense was run, and she didn't quite fit into their approach to that fast-paced, pushing, driving offense. And with Seattle, there are just a lot of bigs there that she was competing against for minutes, and I think she has felt that she wasn't getting the minutes she deserved, and I think she has proven that she deserves a lot of time. So we do need to continue to have Boston and Howard shut her down because she'll shoot inside and outside.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. When it comes to Clark coming back, this was her big week back. I was really happy with what I saw. I didn't see somebody who was starting from square one or anything. It wasn't the most impressive week of basketball you're going to see, but I also honestly appreciated the amount of minutes we were giving her and the way we were very disciplined with the minutes we were giving her. They were always going to be solid chunks of basketball, but just chunks. Like she wasn't playing even near the whole quarter of things. We would kind of sometimes split it up even so that there would be the break between quarters. She didn't look like we were gassing her. We saw some success kind of all over. It wasn't like she's out of her shooting slump. Her threes weren't the greatest, but they also weren't abysmal, you know? She's zipping that ball around, man. There were, I think, was it versus the Wings? She had 13. She has 13 assists in 24 minutes, which is pretty darn good.
Oh, yes. So sitting on the bench, I think you see a lot more of those lanes and the issues that she had been facing before with some of those lead passes. I think she's really polished up. She was putting the ball exactly where her player needed it, and only that person could get to it. And those full court passes, have only gotten better. Her assists, I think, are going to increase because of that time on the bench.
Yeah, and I was noticing, so the Dallas game was a pretty easy game for us. We just kind of started steamrolling and didn't stop. But in that kind of free-flowing time where you could tell our girls were just having a great time, Kelsey Mitchell, Aaliyah Boston were just dishing the ball around. They were like doing their best Caitlin Clark impression, honestly. Like there was a Kelsey where she did a no-look and just like kept running into the stands, which was kind of fun. Aaliyah was like zipping little bounce passes in the lane. It was super fun. It feels like with her back, I think they all knew, okay, as a team, we need to prepare for Caitlin coming back and get ready to accept these passes that are going to be coming our way. And it felt like more than earlier in the year, they were ready for it. And they were ready for the lead pass, and they're ready for that very tiny, like, to be fair to all of these ladies that sometimes miss the shots after these beautiful passes, there is such a tiny window for them to catch that ball and throw it up. Like, that's why it's wide open. They're not playing against chumps. There's someone right behind them sprinting. They have like a foot before they hit the rim, and they're like, I need to take this ball from wherever it got to me and shove it in the air. It's difficult, but they're starting to hit them more often than before. I feel like the whole team is geared up to be accepting passes, and they have their head on a swivel, and they're doing stuff. And that didn't just open it up for her. I felt like it opened it up for our other distributors as well. And Aaliyah Boston might be the best post distributor currently playing. Her assists are kind of nuts these days. Her passing is kind of ridiculous. And then Kelsey, I saw her looking for the assist, which if we're going to, I toot Kelsey's horn a lot, but if we were going to knock her on one thing, it's that she kind of just has a nose for the hoop, and that's it. But she had some really great assists this game. So I feel like with us kind of hitting our stride with Caitlin Clark coming back, there's this opportunity for our assists as a team to just kind of blow wide open.
Yeah, I think, Boston is one of the best true post players in the league. There are some standout anomalies that are just playing differently, and I think we talked about that before with like Brianna Stewart, Asia Wilson, because they can play 1 through 5. But and her ability to her half court game, her ability to find those little bounce passes, she leads in assists in a lot of the games where she's having the offense run through her, and I think that's when they're the most successful, is when she's touching the ball, getting the chance to either facilitate those type of passes or having the defense collapse on her and getting someone wide open.
So we obviously look great. Just to touch on it, Paige, like I said, had a fantastic game. She looks really good. She kind of hit the ground running in this year, just in general. It's kind of nuts how she just kind of slid right into the women's game in the W. I thought it was really interesting during the game. The commentators were kind of talking about some of Paige's comments on that transition. And they said, like, to be fair, we asked her about these things. So it wasn't like she was like, oh, I need to get this off my chest or anything. But Paige mentioned that it's such a big transition for her to start playing in this league when it comes to fouling. Because she said, you know, at UConn, we were taught to defend without fouling. And their program historically doesn't foul a lot. You know, they have one of the lower fouling rates. But she was like, I had to actually learn to defend while fouling here because there's so much fouling allowed. It was an adjustment for me to be like, oh, I'm supposed to be reaching in. I'm supposed to be not allowing them freedom of movement. I'm supposed to be doing all these things that I've never done before, which is kind of like a telling thing to kind of keep up the narrative that we've already been talking about this year about reffing. And I found that kind of interesting to see someone who, like I said, transitioned so smoothly, but her herself was like taken aback, like, oh, shoot. Apparently I need to be fouling more. Didn't know that was going to be a thing that I was going to be asked to do, but
I did hear that during the game, and I think it was when JJ was guarding Caitlyn, and they were showing these replays and slow motions of just hands on her waist, hands on her back, pushing, pulling. And I mean, I don't think that's specific to Caitlyn. I think that's the league. I think that's what we're lovingly referring to as grown women's basketball. But yeah, they're letting them play physical, and as the officials are a part of the game, if you're allowing that contact, they're going to take that contact. Yeah. And they're going to keep pushing and pushing and pushing until you see the fights and the technicals and the fans rioting and booing. It's all part of the game, and they need to clean it up for sure.
That part struck me as really frustrating too, because it was like you know, Lobo was like, yep, that one's a foul, that one's a foul, that one's a foul. And then they showed the next drive, and they're like, and that's a foul, and that's a foul, that's a foul. And it's just frustrating because that's true. It's not like the refs are running off some different rule book. Like, those instances are all fouls, and for some reason they just choose to not call them, which is an odd choice. Like, take them out of the rules, I guess? Like, I don't know. It's bad officiating if you're just ignoring rules. I don't understand that. But I digress. We're going to move on now to the Atlanta game, which to me, like I said, that was the game where I was like, wow, I think we're a championship team. Which, you know, you might say is a little bit of a reach. But guess what? Refs aren't calling those. So I'm free to reach.
Ooh, boy. I mean, that is saying something. And, you know, the most exciting thing about the W is that anyone could be this year's champion. You're absolutely right. It could be the Fever. Those feelings, they're valid. And I'm sure the Lynx and the Liberty and the Dream all have similar fans.
I've never heard of them.
With that same energy. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of basketball left.
I agree.
A lot of basketball.
That is what is exciting. So to me, what stood out with the Atlanta game is I do feel like we saw our team maturing into what we've been really trying to mature into. The cool part about Atlanta is we've played them. This is our 5th time playing them, if you include the preseason. So we've played Atlanta plenty, you know. And what I love about basketball is when you look at series, whether it's a playoff series or a series throughout a year, as the series goes on, the game really gets stripped down to what these two teams are made of. Like, it might be like, oh, they caught us off guard with that. Oh, wow, they adjusted here. But by the end, it's the two teams doing what they do best against each other. And I felt like that's what we were watching. I wouldn't say that, we're now 100% the better team than Atlanta. It was a challenge throughout the whole thing, even though we kind of broke it open at the end. But what I saw was the Fever really have to struggle and fight and push against a team that is hard for them. Like, when a team has two bigs, we're not a big team. Like, we know that's one of our weaknesses as a roster, is that we're just not the biggest team out there. So for us to go out there and really systematically and do it in a way that we could keep up the whole 4 quarters was really cool. One of the main things I saw, like, across the board as a roster was I felt like we were very focused on defending up. Like, if we were the smaller person, we were like, okay, there are ways for a smaller person to guard a taller person.
Yeah.
And we're going to do those things consistently. And, like, every time. And that means, like, poking the ball out before they make that big move. Or getting into the passing lane. Like, having your hands up. We were doing all those little things because we knew for a fact when they get to the post, that person is going to outmuscle us. So we have to do something in order to stop that. And I thought that was really cool to see us, like, focus on that weakness and really, like, push against it in a way that wasn't, like, pushing us out of our identity. It was like, no, we're a tough, scrappy defense, and we're going to do that in the way that can fight off one of their good strengths against us.
Yeah, and I think that there has been, with all of these appearances, there has been the opportunity to look at a lot of film, and you're going to start learning each other's habits, and I think that makes the games a little more interesting as well when you are seeing someone for the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 17th time, is you should know a little bit better how they like to run the ball and which direction they're most likely to go when they're driving. So it's good to see that that's paying off and they're forcing each other to get better in real time.
Yeah, a couple of those things that I saw improving. First off, our non-Clark minutes just look much more purposeful, I feel like. Where we would really, earlier in the season, just completely grind to a halt and be like, what are we doing? How do we run the half court? Never see that happen. It's not like we're that much better than we are with Clark out there, but it's like this time where we've had to create offense without her, or we didn't have her on the court or on the active roster at all, I feel like has really helped us grow in a way that we were hoping for. Also, I feel like the Clark minutes are fast and, like, sophisticated basketball, which is just so, oh my gosh, it's so much fun. There's a lot of people that are still better at basketball than Caitlin Clark. I think I will always enjoy her style of basketball. Like, it's fast. It's exciting, and you're seeing your other teammates, like, really shine. It's very entertaining. And that stadium was so loud. It was nuts. At one point, I saw Stephanie trying to get a timeout, and, like, no one could hear her. She, like, had to run out on the court because no one was here. She's like, timeout, because the whole place was just so crazy. It was really exciting. And then the other piece that is new, I feel like, when it comes to Caitlin is, yes, we've been trying to get Caitlin off ball, and it's been mostly, like, talking about her off ball to kind of take the weight off of her. But I feel like an interesting side, like, development of that is Caitlin as a connecting piece. Because as good as she is as the initiating pass, if you have the hockey assist to her and then she can deliver that ball now from an off angle right where it needs to be, it makes that window so much bigger. It pulled the defender off to guard her. It's just like, now the game's broken wide open. So I felt like even though Caitlin isn't, like, at full stride right now, she's not playing her full minutes, we're slowly getting her in there. We're starting to see what Caitlin installed into this team that just won the Commissioner's Cup might look like. And I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah, no, I think one of the key indicators that stood out to me that we are figuring out how to play against Atlanta is I think we outscored them in the paint. Points in the paint, I think we had them by a few points, and with those two bigs who are in their own dominating boards and nuisances down low, I think that's a great indicator of how hungry the Fever are to improve.
Another piece of it, like to move off of Caitlyn for a moment. So when we run our horns action with Howard and AB up at the top of the key, and you like when it's our starters, you have Hull and you have Kelsey in the corners. That's starting to look really good. Because there was a time where those five, it was like, oh, okay, we have the AB Clark thing going. Great, Mm-hmm. But Howard and Clark have really started to gel. And then okay, so you got those three that are powerhouse type people that can force their way in and make baskets. And then who do you leave in the corners? Hull and Mitchell are just hanging out. That was the moment. I think we ran horns a couple times, and I was like, goodness gracious. This is a really good team. Like, our starting five feel not just like, oh, those are our best five, but like, oh, this is a solid team that might be able to kind of force their will in most situations, which was kind of fun because it's the same starting lineup we've kind of had the whole time. But I think that we've only have 4 games with our entire roster available. So,
well, I mean, I think that's a testament to 2025 is I'd say for the most part, a large percentage of the league has had to deal with major factors impact their roster negatively. And it's a big call to action on how those benches and how your teammates respond. And I don't think anyone had doubts that having Natasha Howard on your team was at all going to be detrimental to your performance.
Do you know what, though? What's crazy is if you read comments, some people have a lot of doubts. I don't understand them. I don't understand their doubts. I think maybe they need to be medicated, which is not me saying anything because I'm medicated.
Natasha Howard is one of the best active players. Like, just if looking on paper, if you look at her career, her professional career, she has 3 championships with 3 different teams. I don't really think anyone else has done that before.
I think that was in like 4 years or something.
Yeah, she's
3 championships in 4 years.
She's phenomenal. Like, she is a phenomenal player, and the way that she impacts this offense is because exactly what you're talking about. Seeing her role, her with AB, there are all these different 2-man groups that now become these 3-man groups, and the options have really opened up, and the assists are increasing, of course, but now all these different threats are popping up. It's harder and harder to guard when everyone is an option, when your offense is running that smoothly.
Yeah, it is. Wow. It's so beautiful. Okay, before we move on to the game that we lost this week, one other really exciting thing for me that I just kind of saw was it's cool to watch the development of our 2 biggest stars, like Aaliyah becoming an initiator on offense, like sometimes taking the ball across half court, looking great while doing it. She's got fine handles to be able to do that, and then her passing is getting better and better. Has been really fun. And then the other part that's fun is this new version of Clark, who apparently was just in the gym all off season. I've seen her a couple times backing people down. It's worked some of the times. I'm not going to say it's like the new part of her game, but that's a different Caitlin Clark. I don't think I've ever seen her last year. I don't think she did that even once. But this time, you'll see it. She's there in the key, and she's like, oh, I'm going to take this girl. And you're like, okay, Caitlin. So to see those 2 kind of like doing the opposite role is just kind of fun. And it shows me like we don't even know where this team is going, which is part of why I feel like we're looking pretty good right now.
Well, you think they're going to the ship. You know exactly where they're going.
Oh, is that what's at the end of this road? Oh, I hadn't considered that.
Ridiculous.
The ship, you say? That's your idea. That was you, not me. Okay, so 2 steps forward this week, 1 step back. We lost to the Valkyrie again. Frustrating, but this was a little earlier in the week. Caitlin was still a little newer. It looked exactly like the game that we lost to them, though, at their home. It kind of to me, it read like the same game. And honestly, it just seemed like we came out really flat both times, and the other team was well coached, well prepared, and ready to go at our throats. That's like what it felt like both times. Like we're like, okay, maybe we can get this game going, and they're like, I'm gonna mess you up today. That's why I came here. That's why I got in the plane, was to mess you up today. That's kind of my feel. What was your feel from that Valkyrie game?
I mean, we've talked about this before, and usually it's one quarter. We lose one quarter, and it's not by 1 point. It's not a couple points. It's like a big loss, and we had 2 quarters in this game where we just completely. I mean, the fourth quarter in general was pretty low scoring across the 4, but that second quarter was brutal. It was brutal to watch, and it was brutal looking back at all 4 quarters against.
It was kind of
Golden
the knockout
State.
punch.
Yeah, it just
honestly, the second quarter was the knock. I felt like our second half we just weren't there at all.
No, it didn't get much better in the second half. It just continued to be a lackluster performance, and that's the areas that I think keep Indiana from being a clear contender for championship for me. Is these type of games are going to happen where people struggle, but to struggle so poorly in a quarter, you only score 9 points, and then another quarter 10. That is yikes.
Our floor is really low. Like, I don't know where our ceiling is, but our floor, really darn low. When we don't have it, we don't have it, and that is terrifying. Because a quarter like that, 20-9, that's literally, that'll lose you the game.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have 20-9 quarters.
No, it's not good. It was not good. That was frustrating. I mean, again, but this league is talented. I don't think enough people understand how crazy challenging it is to try to figure out how to play against Golden State. I mean, they're decent. I mean, they're beyond decent. They're a good team, and they have a lot of different threats. They've also had to deal with injuries. All of the activity going on with the games in Europe impacted their team a lot too. You've probably have seen them play a different starting 5 each time, and they're seeing completely different style of minutes because they're still working out their flow. This is a brand new team who's still just trying to work it out.
Unprecedented. It makes no sense. Like across any professional sports league, men or women, any sport, for the brand new team to be looking as good as they're looking makes no sense.
No.
It doesn't make any sense at all. It shouldn't happen.
And
because we're talking about we're trying to install stuff on our team, but we have a solid core of people that we really like and we had good success with last year. You know what I mean? And they're just starting straight from scratch. Anything else you want to talk about before we move on to the next thing?
I think that's it for me in the Valkyries. I wish that those quarters there was a little bit more of a fight, but it just hopefully that those types of games are behind us.
Yeah, I agree. Hopefully never again. Let's say it today. Never again.
Never again.
All right, good. I'm glad we agree. One thing I want to touch on before we move on to looking ahead at this All-Star Week, clapping during free throws. It's kind of fun. Did you notice that?
I did notice that.
It's like, think the last 2 games. Like, I don't know who started it. I don't know if they've been discussing it, but they do the clapping. And that's super fun. And then, like, the bench is doing it, and then after a while, the crowd figured it out, and it's like, that's fun. I've never seen anything like that before in basketball. Clapping during free throws.
It's new to me.
It's new to me, too. It would probably bug me as a player, but it's also kind of fun. I would probably be one party pooper that'd be like, hey guys, no claps for me.
Yeah.
I don't like the claps. But no, I do like the claps as a fan. It's kind of fun, and I like it. So you heard it here first, folks. Chris likes the claps.
Breaking news.
Breaking news. So we got a big week here in Indy. I don't know if you've seen downtown Indianapolis. I know you haven't seen it in person this week because you don't live there. But it looks gorgeous. There are all these huge posters put up across like every skyscraper. We got all of the big names of the WNBA on their faces all over. It's pretty exciting time here. And we got an all-star game. How you feeling about that all-star game, Keisha?
Very excited. I mean, this is what this is what we dream of, is putting the best players in the league on these dream teams and seeing what would happen. And now we get to see that happen. I am jazzed.
So last year was one of the best all-star games I've ever seen, in that it was newcomers versus the Olympic team.
Mm-hmm.
And that was very exciting because it was like, oh, everyone who may or may not be feeling snubbed playing in front of the coaches that snubbed them and all of the people in their way. Ooh. And then you got all those people that are like, whoa, we're just trying to get ready for the Olympics here. Oh, what all this heat is about. And that was super fun dynamic. Do you think that is going to be anything like that this year?
Ooh, I mean, this is going to be, if not as exciting, maybe more so with the lineups available to us. This is good stuff. This is what the people live for when it comes to talk that talk. You said that these were the best, so what happens when you put your best against my best? It's the dream.
Okay, so break it down for us, Keisha. What do you think of the roster? What do you think of the draft picks?
So, I mean,
what do you think of the coach switch? Start with a coach switch.
Coach switch is weird. Definitely weird, and I really don't know what that's about, but sure. Create a little drama ahead of time, keep the people guessing. Love to see it. But rosters make sense to me. I think that based on who these players are and how they like to play, things that they've said about certain players, this makes a lot of sense. I know how much Collier enjoyed playing with Diggins and Unrivaled. I know what she thinks about certain players who've played at certain colleges. So yeah, this checks out big time.
No, you gotta highlight what does she say? That sounds like drama that you're not spilling, tea that remains in the pot.
I think that Collier, very similar to Reeves, has a mindset that UConn players have, which is there is a goal. The goal is to win, and we will follow this plan to the T to achieve that goal. So looking at these rosters, I mean, you have Paige from UConn on the team as well, Breonna Stewart from UConn, and then you have some of her favorite players to play with. Courtney Williams and her Heaven Sing connection. Kelsey Plum's one of the best point guards in the league right now, having a phenomenal performance in the Sparks.
Who was?
Yeah, Kelsey Plum's
one of the best.
One of the best in the league right now. Yeah, right. She's having a standout year. I was actually looking at some of the footage of her performance this year. Also getting a lot of fouls, getting fouled a lot, not getting a lot of foul calls, and quite upset about it. Quite vocal.
Who is Ryan Howard going to play? Do you know?
That is the question. I don't know if Ryan Howard is going to be healthy enough to play. So who would take that spot?
Is she hurt from the game in the Fever when she hyperextended her knee, or is it a different thing?
That's definitely part of it, but she also has had some pretty big falls recently, and she didn't come back from her most recent fall. So we're hopeful she's doing it well and can finish out the season because, man, Ryan's been shooting it out. Well, with Clark, I think the major advantage that you're seeing is that Clark has Asia Wilson, and I'd put a lot of money on Asia Wilson bringing the heat because she's ready to flex. She always is, but this is the type of platform where she really does shine. So Jackie Young and Asia Wilson have insane chemistry. Kelsey Mitchell can be a plug in anywhere. Sabrina's range, Caitlin's range, Boston's chemistry with another member of South Carolina's style of basketball. It's going to be very competitive. And don't forget you have the unicorn, Satu Sabali, one of the best players on Phoenix right now.
So right now, looking at the team, would you be fair to say that it's kind of experience and strength versus speed and youth?
I think there's strength for sure and speed on one team, which looks a little bit more like Caitlin, and I'd say the other team is maybe a bit more about structure, precision, experience, I'd say.
All right. Well, okay, so looking at the overall picks, the All-Stars, what are you thinking about that in general? I heard you think there's maybe some snubs that happened this year?
Well, pretty shocking to have Kiki Iriafen, Sonia Citron, and Paige, 3 rookies to make the All-Star. That's pretty interesting. And there were some pretty big notable names that were not listed. I'd say the biggest shock being Jonquel Jones, who has been injured for a lot of this season, but, I mean, it's Jonquel Jones. Not being named an All-Star is pretty nuts. Some other names would be Brittany Sykes from the Mystics, Kayla McBride from the Lynx, also Brianna Jones from the Dream, who is that amazing twin tower with Griner. But
yeah,
those were the big
those
were the big shocks for the folks.
That is kind of crazy. Like, there's a couple ways to look at it. Like, that the All-Stars, a lot of it is a popularity contest. That's kind of not the whole point of the All-Stars, but it is a piece of it, certainly, and a large piece of it. But then when you consider, like, the legacy of these great players, that to see that, there's going to be a gap in Jonquel Jones's All-Stars picks, like, that's what we decided to do as a league. That's very interesting and possibly hurtful to some people. I don't know who. Probably Jonquel Jones, maybe. But
probably.
What are you looking forward to besides the All-Star game itself?
I'm excited that people will get some time to heal. I think rest is going to be really beneficial for everyone. But yeah, I am excited for the All-Star game. I'm excited to see. There are some players who you've always gone, I wonder what it would look like if Caitlin Clark also had Asia Wilson wide open down the court. That would be pretty cool to see. That would be
pretty cool.
Yeah, I wonder what it would look like to see Gabby and Aaliyah Boston running down the court together. So I think there's some combinations that's going to be exciting. And then as far as the break, pretty bummed about the break, to be honest. I'm not going to have a lot of basketball to talk about. That's going to be brutal, but we'll get through it. The rest is critical.
All right. Well, there's one last big piece of news. I don't know if you heard. I don't know. I'm hoping that they're going to post it online somewhere because, unfortunately, I work this weekend, which I'm very frustrated about. I had an opportunity to volunteer at the WNBA All-Star Game, but I'm working, and my coach said, sorry, you can't. Not my coach, my boss. My boss said, sorry, you can't, Chris. We need you to work this weekend. Very frustrating. But we have our very own Sid Colson is doing her first stand-up ever. I don't know if you heard about this.
I did not.
You hear about this?
No.
Yeah, Sid is doing a stand-up routine. She hasn't let a single one of her fellow teammates hear her do any of it. So they're all as curious as the rest of us what this is going to be like. But that's kind of exciting.
That's awesome. I'm excited to hear how that goes for her.
I'm excited just after watching Sid's live party after the Commissioner's Cup. I was like, whoa, this girl's crazy.
This girl crazy.
Now hearing she's going to do some stand-up is very exciting. Well, Keisha, it's been another week. We're over 500 and on our way. Where are we on our way to?
To the ship.
To the ship, baby. To the ship.
The spaceship.
Well, thank you, Fever fans, for joining us. for another week of the Fever Replay podcast. We hope you have a good week. If you have a good All-Star weekend, if you're in Indy, come down, join in the festivities. It should be a pretty good time. And we'll see you next week. Bye, guys.
Bye.